He said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim.
So listen to this. Ben Shapiro just got caught twisting the whole story. And guess who called him out right on camera? Megyn Kelly. Megyn didn't even flinch. She checked him in real time and the internet went silent for a second like, wait, did that really just happen? Because Ben seriously tried to say that Candace Owens accused Erica Kirk of being involved in something criminal connected to Charlie Kirk. But anyone who actually watches Candace's show knows she never said that, not once. The second Megyn caught that slip, people online went wild. Viewers were like, hold up, did Ben just make that up? It was wild to watch because Candace never hinted, never implied, and never came close to saying anything like that. Fans who follow her work instantly called it out and they knew Ben was spinning it. Then Megyn Kelly rolled the actual clip, and that's when everything exploded. Suddenly, the truth was right there for everyone to see. Ben Shapiro wasn't telling the full story. He was stretching it, twisting it, making it sound way bigger and darker than it really was. And when Megyn hit play, she didn't hold back. She exposed every detail so people could see what was real and what wasn't. But here's where things took a sharper turn. Candace Owens came forward, bold as ever, and basically said it flat out. Ben Shapiro was exaggerating. She didn't need a long speech. She just said he blew it out of proportion and the audience understood immediately what she meant. Candace kept it real, saying too many people ruin their own credibility by turning every disagreement into something hateful, by calling every critique an attack, by turning normal arguments into breaking news. That one line from her hit like lightning, because now the attention shifted completely off her and straight onto him. Social media lit up like fireworks after that. People were posting memes, tagging Ben Shapiro, saying things like, "Keep it up, Ben, keep spinning it." All sarcasm, of course. It was a full-blown internet circus, and right in the middle of it, Candace decided to drop receipts.
What Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil, what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
But because like I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
Of murdering her own husband?
She's accusing TPUSA insiders.
She tweeted, "Thank you, Megyn Kelly, for clarifying that. Ben Shapiro quite literally lied to your face and to your audience about my words." And boom, that post went viral within minutes. Everyone was talking about it because she didn't mince words. She called it what it was. Candace said it's rare to watch someone lie that openly on camera, especially just to push a false guilt narrative that never existed. Then she broke it down clearly, and she said she had been questioning Turning Point USA employees about their verifiable lies, just like any journalist would if things didn't add up. She said these employees have been lying left and right since the start, creating mixed messages and spreading confusion, which made her keep asking more questions about why their stories didn't line up. Candace then hit the real nerve of it all. She said twisting her questions about verifiable lies into something criminal was a vile and obvious attempt to silence her investigation. That line shocked everyone because she wasn't backing down. She made it clear nobody was going to bully her into staying quiet or backing off from the truth she's chasing. And people respected that energy. Viewers praised Megyn Kelly too for keeping things honest, because it takes guts to check someone live and not let false claims slide. But then the story took another twist. Some commentators started wondering if Megyn was being completely transparent herself. They said it's hard to believe she doesn't actually watch Candace's show, especially when it's the biggest story connected to Charlie Kirk right now.
And other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk, yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch Candace's show.
I believe you. I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that
what I understand
friendship
Candace
should not, in our
doing.
business, I think it's important. Listen,
friendship
should not trump.
We don't even know each other.
I understand, but even with Tucker, friendship should not trump our manifest requirement to speak out when people do and say things that are both detrimental to conservatism and morally wrong.
Okay, so I don't totally
One speaker pointed out that Megyn is a professional journalist who always keeps up with the biggest headlines. So how could she possibly ignore the #1 story in her orbit right now, which happens to involve Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk? It didn't make sense to them that she'd stay out of the loop. They even joked that Megyn claiming she's too busy to watch Candace's show just doesn't sound believable. They said, "Come on, Megyn does one show a day a few times a week. You really mean to tell me she's too busy to check out what's trending right under her nose?" It came across like she was definitely watching, just pretending not to. The same speaker said they personally have a packed schedule too, running a radio show, this show, touring, doing comedy, and still managed to follow the story closely. So they asked if they can do that with all those jobs, how can Megyn Kelly not have time to keep up? The crowd loved that comment. It had everyone laughing, but also thinking hard. They said it just doesn't add up. Megyn prides herself on being sharp and informed, yet she's ignoring the biggest investigation in her own circle. It's like pretending not to notice an earthquake happening next door. They said it's hard to swallow, like trying to eat a stone, so it just doesn't sit right. They reminded everyone that Candace Owens hosts the #1 show in the world, covering every new update in the Charlie Kirk situation. So if Megyn Kelly says she doesn't follow it, where is she getting her information? Because this story has layers, serious ones. And if you're talking about it, your sources need to be solid. And that's when the speaker started firing off questions. You getting it from Kash Patel, from Ben Shapiro, from Turning Point USA employees, from the New York Times?
Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question.
Because these same people have been caught spreading misinformation before. It was like watching someone go down the list, calling out every possible name until it was impossible to ignore the tension. They said straight up that Candace Owens has a mountain of evidence and has exposed multiple inconsistencies in the official version, yet Megyn Kelly somehow acts like none of it looks strange. That's the part that really fired people up online. They couldn't understand how someone as smart as Megyn wouldn't question those obvious gaps. One of the main inconsistencies everyone's talking about is that bizarre roof detail, that someone supposedly climbed up there with a rifle and nobody saw a thing. People were like, be serious, how does that even happen? It's that kind of logic that made folks start questioning everything all over again. Online, debates started heating up fast. People weren't throwing accusations. They were just saying the official story doesn't sound right when every version keeps changing. One day there's one version, the next day another, and now no one even knows what to believe. The whole thing feels like a story being rewritten on the fly, and that made everyone even more suspicious. That's when Megyn Kelly's calm attitude started raising eyebrows. Some viewers were like, why isn't she more curious about all these contradictions? The speaker said they're not calling her dishonest, just surprised she's not asking harder questions. Because millions of viewers online are, and when the audience starts seeing inconsistencies, silence from a major journalist looks strange, and fans definitely noticed. The confusion kept building, and every comment, every clip, every correction made the drama even more explosive. It's like every time someone tried to calm things down, it only made people dig deeper. What started as one moment on Megyn Kelly's show has now turned into a full-scale media storm. And everyone's waiting to see who tells the next version of the truth. What had fans completely stunned was realizing that someone as sharp as Megyn Kelly might not be watching Candace Owens' full breakdowns, and that blew everyone's minds because Candace had hours of footage, interviews, receipts, timelines, and explanations showing exactly why things weren't lining up the way they should. The speaker couldn't shake the feeling that something just didn't add up. Not in a dark way, but in that, wait, why aren't you watching the top analyst covering this story kind of way? And once that question hit social media, it spread like wildfire. Soon, everyone online was asking the same thing. So if Megyn isn't getting her info from Candace, then where is she getting it? Nobody was saying Megyn was wrong. People just wanted to know her source, because whichever source she trusted had a totally different version from what Candace was showing. And that's when it turned into an online earthquake. Two huge media voices telling the same story in two completely different ways. That's the kind of thing that splits the internet in half overnight. Then came the theory that made the comment sections explode. The idea that Megyn might be getting her info from people inside Turning Point USA. The moment that theory dropped, the argument section went up in flames. Some viewers said, well, if that's true, then of course her version sounds different, because the Turning Point crew is personally close to everyone involved. They've got emotions tied to it. Nobody was calling anyone dishonest. They were just saying that when emotions run high, the truth can get blurry real quick. Meanwhile, Candace Owens was out here doing deep dives like a pro. She was showing screenshots, replaying clips, reading public documents, and lining up the timeline second by second. She wasn't out here accusing anyone of crimes. She was just pointing out contradictions, missing answers, and things that didn't match. And love her or not, you had to admit, Candace was bringing the receipts like no one else. That's why people couldn't understand why Megyn Kelly wasn't even a little bit curious to see what Candace had uncovered. As viewers kept watching Candace's show, they realized something. She wasn't just reacting emotionally, she was dissecting patterns. She talked about the timing, the language used in statements, the pacing of press releases, and how certain official comments came out a little too fast and too perfect. None of it was criminal. It was just confusing. And confusion makes people hungry for answers. They weren't out here pushing a narrative. They just wanted some straight talk that made sense. But the more they looked, the messier it got. Viewers noticed that staff members from Turning Point USA were giving interviews, posting online, and saying things that didn't always match. One person would say something one day, another would share a totally different version the next, and someone else would post something that contradicted both. It wasn't hate. It was pure chaos. And the audience was desperate for someone to step up and say, here's the full story, simple, clear, no confusion. Usually that's where big voices like Megyn Kelly come in, to make sense of it all. So when Megyn didn't unpack the contradictions, fans were honestly baffled. The speaker said they weren't mad at her or calling her out. They were just surprised. They expected someone with her background to look deeper and question why so many official statements were clashing. Curiosity wasn't criticism, and it was common sense. As people kept sharing clips and screenshots, more viewers started noticing how polished the official version sounded. Real life is messy, people slip up, emotions show, mistakes happen, but the official storylines were spotless. Matching fonts, matching phrasing, matching tone, almost like they were rehearsed, and that perfection made people uneasy. Nobody was accusing anyone of lying, they just didn't believe real life could be that neat. Then every time someone tried to calm things down, a new piece of content would drop, a new clip, a new statement, or a new interview that didn't match the last one. It became this wild maze where every hallway led to a new version of the truth. And right there in that maze, Candace Owens was the only one dropping full-length breakdowns, connecting the dots one by one and trying to make sense of it all. The speaker wrapped up by saying this wasn't about Team Candace versus Team Megyn. It wasn't a popularity contest. It was about clarity, about honesty, about consistency. They said if Megyn Kelly wants to speak on the Charlie Kirk situation, the people deserve to know which version of events she's relying on, because there can't be 10 different versions floating around forever. Somewhere in the middle of all that noise is one real truth, and the public's just asking for someone brave enough to say it out loud. And that's exactly why the whole conversation online exploded like a bomb. Not because anyone was accusing anyone of crimes, but because thousands of people were trying to make sense of a story that kept changing shape every single time someone new spoke up. It felt like every version came with new details, new gaps, and new explanations, and people couldn't tell what was real anymore. The speaker started breaking down all the online theories flooding social media, not to say they were true, but just to explain what people were already arguing about. They reminded everyone that these were public debates happening in real time, not verified facts, but still fascinating because millions of people were trying to connect the dots that didn't seem to fit together. And the moment they pointed out that the storylines didn't line up cleanly, the internet went into full investigation mode. One of the biggest questions people online kept repeating was about that strange roof situation. Viewers were asking, how could someone be on top of a roof and nobody notice? Nobody was accusing. They were just confused because the version floating around didn't seem complete. The speaker made it clear that they were quoting public chatter, not claims, but the disbelief spreading online was so strong it became impossible to ignore. Another thing that had everyone debating was the conversation about the bullet itself. Some people online were saying they couldn't understand how there wasn't an exit mark. Again, no one was confirming or denying anything. They were simply reacting to what different experts said because even the experts didn't agree with each other. When specialists start disagreeing publicly, you know the internet's going to spiral, and that's exactly what happened. And then the speaker mentioned another viral theory that people had been talking about. Something about how someone supposedly took apart an item, hid it, and somehow put it back together later. Even though parts of it were left somewhere else. They weren't calling it real. They were just highlighting the mess of different versions online, each one contradicting the last. It showed how chaotic the storytelling had gotten, like a giant puzzle where every piece was shaped wrong. Then came the part about the texts. The speaker repeated what was trending, that some people online believed the text messages that Kash Patel said they found were fake. But they said this only as part of the chatter, not as fact. The internet had already labeled it a controversy, claiming that those texts vanished from every official update and that silence made people question everything even more. It wasn't about proof, it was about perception, and perception was spinning out of control. Next came one of the wildest rumors the speaker mentioned. The online claim that the area was paved over too fast. Once again, they didn't present it as truth. They said people online were sharing screenshots of supposed construction messages where someone bragged they knew how to keep their mouth shut. That tiny message sent social media into a frenzy because it sounded mysterious. It wasn't about accusing anyone, it was about how people react when timing looks way too convenient. And that's when the speaker turned the spotlight back on Megyn Kelly. They said what shocked them was how none of this seemed to spark questions from her, at least not publicly. Megyn didn't appear to question any part of the official version, even though millions of people were debating those inconsistencies nonstop online. The speaker said they didn't believe Megyn truly thought everything was simple. They just felt like she wasn't ready to dive into the chaos publicly, maybe to avoid being dragged into the storm herself. They said they kind of understood why. Because the moment Megyn showed even a tiny bit of sympathy toward the online questions, Ben Shapiro reportedly went after her right away. The speaker claimed Ben tried to push her out of the conservative circle simply for refusing to attack Candace Owens, and then they added that Ben had to lie about it because all Candace was doing was asking legitimate questions that anyone paying attention would ask about all the confusing details. The speaker's tone got even stronger as they said they believed Ben was trying to pressure Megyn Kelly into taking sides, twisting her words, cornering her, and making her choose a camp publicly. They described it as an attempt to box Megyn in and make her turn on Candace over something that wasn't even true. They said it straight. They weren't buying any of it. The way they saw it, the pressure was just another media game, and Megyn didn't deserve to be bullied into silence or forced to play along. By the end, the speakers circled back to their biggest question: how could someone as informed and experienced as Megyn Kelly not have time to see what Candace Owens was saying? They said it didn't add up, not because they thought Megyn was dishonest, but because she's known for being one of the sharpest voices in news. If everyone else was watching Candace's reports and talking about them daily, how could Megyn stay unaware? It just didn't make sense. The speaker ended by saying Megyn choosing not to acknowledge Candace's points might have made everything even louder, because when someone avoids a topic that everyone else is talking about, the silence speaks volumes. And the moment people sense that something's being avoided, even quietly, they talk about it 10 times more. It's like pouring gasoline on a rumor that's already on fire. The audience could feel the tension rising, and once that happened, there was no putting the lid back on this story. The speaker kept hammering one major point: Candace Owens isn't just some small online voice lost in the noise. She's a powerhouse with one of the biggest shows running right now. She was close to Charlie Kirk, knew him personally, and she's been digging into this story with more detail and evidence than almost anyone else out here. So when Megyn Kelly claims she's not watching any of it, the speaker said it's mind-blowing because the whole world is watching and everyone knows it. Then the speaker dropped the question that hit like a thunderclap: how did you find out she didn't say that stuff? They repeated it again and again with pure disbelief. Because if Megyn Kelly knows Candace didn't say what Ben Shapiro accused her of saying, that means she must have checked somewhere. The speaker said that's the only way she could know for sure, meaning she's either watching or someone close to her is. That's where it all started feeling off, like something just wasn't adding up. They pushed the question harder, asking, did you actually watch her show? How did you find that out? The tone wasn't angry, just shocked. It was like they were trying to figure out how Megyn could confidently deny something without actually seeing the episode herself. That contradiction became one of the most viral talking points online, and the speaker made sure everyone understood exactly why it didn't sit right. Then came the deeper hit. The speaker said Megyn Kelly uses the line, "I don't watch Candace Owens' show," as a shield, a way to dodge questions about topics that Candace already covered in depth. They said it's a clever move because it lets her say she can't comment since she doesn't supposedly watch it, even though her audience knows that Candace's show is the one place actually breaking things down with full context and detail. The speaker demanded answers. Why isn't Megyn asking the same tough questions Candace is asking? They said millions of people online are asking those same things too. The official story doesn't sound clean, timelines don't line up, and fans want transparency, not silence. So they pressed her directly. Why leave all the heavy lifting to Candace? Why not speak up too? Then they pointed out the irony that had everyone shaking their heads. Not only does Megyn claim she's not asking those big questions, she also says she's not even watching the one person who is. The speaker called it wild, saying it's almost impossible to believe because Candace has the bigger platform right now, with massive viewership and non-stop trending moments surrounding this investigation. They said ignoring that level of noise is shocking for someone like Megyn, who's always on top of major media moments. Still, despite all their disbelief, the speaker did give Megyn her flowers for one thing. They said respect to Megyn for calling out Ben Shapiro publicly and setting the record straight. They said it mattered that she corrected the lie and didn't let anyone twist her words or Candace's message. They applauded her for keeping her composure and standing her ground, even while others were trying to pull her into a messy fight she didn't start. But then came the final punch. The speaker said it's going to take a lot for them to believe Megyn Kelly truly doesn't have time to watch what Candace Owens is saying. They said Megyn is way too smart, too locked in, and too professional to ignore the biggest investigation happening in her own circle. The speaker said it just feels too clean, too convenient, and too perfectly rehearsed to be real. They ended with pure drama, saying this entire situation feels like a movie, with secrets, contradictions, and people pretending not to see what's right in front of them. And that's exactly why the conversation isn't dying down anytime soon. It's only getting louder, sharper, and more intense every day. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over, and you won't want to miss what's coming next.